2016 was an incredible year in sports. We saw the Cubs win the World Series, the Sounders win the MLS Cup, and our local teams pull off amazing feats. Let's take a look back. Wenatchee bowling team won the state 4A title behind Jayla Young, Brianna Saylor, and Courtney Archer. Eastmont's Cheyenne Greening also took the state's individual title. After finishing second in the mainland division, the Wenatchee Wild began its first postseason run in the BCHL by downing Langley in 5 games. Then against Chilliwack in the second round, the Chiefs knocked off the Wild in overtime of Game 5. 3-2, they won the series 3 games to 2. As 2016 draws to a close, the Wild are off to their best start in franchise history and lead the entire BCHL. The winter sports season for the Wenatchee High School basketball team concluded a little early in 2016. After an incredible run, including 14 wins in a row and a district championship, Wenatchee was edged out of the regional tournament by Gonzaga Prep in a low-scoring affair, 34-32. It marked the career ends for the record-breaking tandem of Gavin Long and Grady Miller. On the college hardwoods, Wenatchee Valley's women's team had a banner year, finishing 27-6 and NWAC East Division champs. The Lady Knights knocked off South Puget Sound at Bellevue en route to the NWAC Final Four before losing to the eventual champion Lane. The Lady Knights settled for 3rd place. With spring, an incredible sporting year for Wenatchee High continued with its baseball team and boys soccer team. The senior-laden Panthers ran through its league and non-league schedule unbeaten, swept through the district championships and regionals, but then stumbled against Skyline 5-4 in the semifinals. They came back the next day, defeating Woodinville 3-2 to place 3rd. Wenatchee finished the season 24-1. By the way the season started out for the boys soccer team, it didn't look like Dennis Tronson's Panthers would make the playoffs, let alone make a run at state. But that's just what Wenatchee did, beating Eastmont in a shootout, then topping Sunnyside, Kentwood, Lewis and Clark, Central Valley, and finally Tahoma 1-0 for the state championship. Following the Wenatchee Valley Rams' unbelievable national championship in 2015, the Rams stepped into a new league this year, the Western Washington Football Association. Wenatchee Valley knocked off Tri-City 24-21 in overtime in the first round of the playoffs, then beat Renton 21-17 to make it to the league championship game against Puyallup. But 6 turnovers in the title game cost the Rams a chance, falling 46-13 to place second. The chill of spring gave way to the heat of summer and Wenatchee Apple Sox baseball. Unfortunately, this highlight of the Coyote winning the mascot race was about the only highlight for a team that finished 19-35 overall, 9-18 in West Coast League play. Well, there was another highlight. First baseman Michael Toglia, the UCLA Bruin, was named MVP of the West Coast League. The 35th round draft choice of the Colorado Rockies from Gig Harbor led the WCL in homers with 7, RBIs with 40, and hitting .306. In September, the Apple Sox announced Yakima Valley CC's Kyle Crustangle will take over as Wenatchee's 4th manager in team history. Professionally, the Seahawks were bounced by Carolina in the playoffs in early 2016, who eventually lost to Peyton Manning and the Broncos in the Super Bowl. This year began with high hopes, but offensive line issues and injuries have hampered Seattle on the field. The year ends with the Seahawks literally limping into the playoffs with an NFC West title, but little hope of going very far in the playoffs. The Mariners looked better and even led the American League West a month into the season. Hopes are high under second-year manager Scott Service and general manager Jerry DiPoto. After all, if the Cubs can win the World Series, anyone can, right? The Sounders lost their coach, they lost their best player, still made it to the postseason, and shocked the world by winning Seattle's first ever MLS Cup. At year's end, a group is still trying to rally an effort to build a new stadium in Seattle and attract an NBA franchise and even the NHL. Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson became a high-profile investor, but the dream is still that, just a dream. On the college football scene, 2 Wenatchee High grads were working on their offensive lines for their teams on opposite side of the state. Cody O'Connell was earning unanimous All-America honors at Washington State as the Cougars ran off a record 8 straight wins. Meanwhile, Washington starting left tackle Trey Adams protected the backside of Heisman hopeful Jake Browning as the Huskies nearly finished undefeated, winning the Pac-12 championship and number 4 seed into the college football playoffs. And on the final day of 2016, this Wenatchee Panther graduate will do his best to help Washington knock off number 1 ranked and undefeated Alabama for a shot at the national championship January 9th. It's been a fun year in sports. Root on your favorite teams and stick with them. You never know when they might surprise you. Just ask Cub fans. For NCWLIFE Channel Sports, I'm Eric Granstrom.